Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you so much for asking. Slept well, slept enough, had my coffee, my breakfast, cookies. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. You know what the S stands for? Because I am Felix S. España. You know, when my kids are very, very small, like this, they said, Felix, it was like Felix Superman, España. Yeah. Then they grew up. And then they said, yeah, it's Felix Super Dad, España. Then they grew up a little bit more. And then they said, yeah, it's Felix So-So, España. Well, S stands for Santiago. So anyway, it was easy to make that joke. I know that my kids now, wherever they are, they will be laughing and say, yeah, come on, Dad. You shouldn't say that. But anyway, thank you so much for allowing me this privilege to be with all of you and sharing what God has put in my heart to be shared now. You know, we live in times that are exponentially changing, right? So look at what was the evolution in 15th century, 16th century, 17th century, 19th century. Also, you know, society was growing, technology was growing. 20th century, yeah, was growing. 21st century is like exponential growth. So if you ask scientists and engineers, so like Mike, what happens if you blink your eyes for a second and then you open them again as a scientist, as an engineer? Basically, you are outdated. You are outdated. You cannot sleep. You sleep, you miss it. You know, I'm myself, you know, I consider myself also with my scientific background being like a, tech-savvy person. Especially my family, they know that they always in stress when either my birthday or Christmas is coming. They freak out. Say, what should we give Daddy? Because basically any techie thing, he has it already. And for the ones that he doesn't have, they're too expensive to get them. So anyway, yeah, even for me, keeping up the pace of all the technological developments, it makes it difficult to catch up with the ChatGPT and the new developments. You know, I was testing eyewear this week that were as thin as this one, and I could read all the speech in the glasses. It's using a fantastic technology. It's called waveguide technology that is basically projecting, and then in micro reflections inside the lens, it's getting into the middle of the lens and projected into your retina. And you know what? The people in front of you, they don't see it. In fact, I could be reading now. Yeah, it's too expensive, and I can tell you, no, this has another wonderful technology, but not that one. So, anyway, I remember also when I was at the practice, some people were asking, oh, yeah, but you know, you are also developing glasses that can remove layers of people, basically. I said, no, we're not. We can do X-ray, but that's a different story. So technology is going really, really fast. And so society. Society is becoming really, really individualistic, more division, more unstable. Everything is moving so fast that we are not even able to keep up with the pace. And then we end up in being more isolated. Yeah, you just look at, you know, the latest developments. No one thought that we were going to have the world in our hands with the smartphone. Now we do. And by the way, how many hours do you think that average European citizen spends with the smartphone on a daily basis? The day has 24 hours, so don't say 25. It's between 6 and 8 hours a day. It depends on where. So almost 1/4 or 1/3 of your life, you spend it in a very ultra near vision device. Which is, I mean, for people like me, and just business-wise, it's a great opportunity. Because, yeah, I'm working in the optical industry, meaning that you're burning your eyes. You will need support sooner. Therefore, we will sell more glasses. Other than that, it's really a sad news. It's not good to be isolated. Yeah, science is going really, really fast. Probably human beings were not going as fast as science. By the way, what I'm going to tell today, every single scientific paper has gone through peer review. You know what it means, peer review? Raise your hands. Who know what is a peer review? Don't be shy, you know what is a peer review. Okay, peer review basically is that you write your paper and you let your colleagues and other scientists to review it and tell you whether it's okay or not. This has passed the peer review, so in prayer, also with God, to make sure that that's not my word, that's His word, what I'm going to share with you. And God is using many ways to review things with you, and many people also around you. So, important also to share with you that science and faith are often placed in opposition, right? Whether you believe in science or you believe in faith, or you have faith in God, or you have faith in science. Well, I can tell you something. They merge together. And as you can read now on the screen, science studies how things are happening, and faith reveals why they matter. That's the connection between both of them. Let's go now into the text that we will share this morning. Just going in the book of Luke, chapter 11, from 14 to 32. You know, some preachers, they prefer using paper. Some preachers, they prefer using digital. For me, it's not a surprise that you see me with a digital device. I said I'm a techie guy. Okay, let's read it. You will not see all the verses there. I was just cropping a little bit for the purpose of saving some time. But the story will be cohesive at the end. It says that Jesus forced a demon out of a man who could not talk. And after the demon had gone out, the man started speaking, and the crowd were amazed. But some people said, he forces out demons by the power of Beelzebul, the ruler of the demons. Wow, interesting. Others, they wanted to put Jesus to the test. And they asked him to show them a sign from God. Jesus knew what they were thinking. And he said, as one of the things that he said, as from verse 20, also verse 18, 19 before. If I use God's power to force out demons, it proves that God's kingdom has already come to you. When a strong man arms himself and walks home, everything he owns is safe. But if a stronger man comes and defeats him, he will carry off weapons in which the strong man trusted. Then he will divide with others what he has taken. If you're not on my side, you are against me. If you don't gather in the crop with me, you scatter it. When an evil spirit leaves a person, it travels through the desert looking for a place to rest. But when it doesn't find a place, it says, I'll go back to the home I left. Then when it gets there and finds the place clean and fixed up, and in brackets, empty, it goes off and finds 7 other evil spirits, even worse than itself. They all come and make their home there, and that person ends up in worse shape than before. Then, while Jesus was still talking, a woman in the crowd spoke up. The woman who gave birth to you and nursed you is blessed. So, be blessed, Mary. And Jesus replied, yeah, that's true, but the people who are really blessed are the ones who hear and obey God's message. Those are the ones that are really blessed. And as crowds were gathering around Jesus, he said, you people of today are evil. You keep looking for a sign from God, but what happened to Jonah in the belly of the big fish is the only sign you will be given. Just as Jonah was a sign to the people of Nineveh, the Son of Man will be a sign, and the Son of Man is Jesus, will be a sign to the people of today. Well, in our passage today, Jesus is confronting unbeliefs after healing a mute man, a man who couldn't talk. Some were celebrating the miracle. Eh? They said, wow, fantastic, great. Some others, they started to say, there might be a reason behind that. He is now working with Beelzebub, blah, blah, blah. So they were trying to find an alternative reason. And some others, they were asking for signs. They said, you know what? Before I believe, show me more signs. And that is also something that was happening. You remember when Jesus resurrected and then came to his disciples, and there was one who was called Thomas, who said, I have to see it. Otherwise, I won't believe it. Well, this is part of the human nature. Okay, some believe when they see God's work. And that is also happening today. In 2025, we believe when we see Jesus and we see God's at work. Some others, they dismiss as a coincidence or something else, or that could be whatever the reason. Some others, they're still demanding for more evidence. So now let me bring you to our 3 take-homes, because it's not because we're reaching out the end of the message, but I want to give you a preview of what we're going to see. So, first, deliverance is real. Second, division is destructive. Third, decision is required. Today we're going to talk about deliverance, division, and decision. Those 3 aspects. And to approach the deliverance, let's go into the first verse of the text that we have been reading. So in verse 14, we read, Jesus forced the demon out of a man who could not talk. And after the demon had gone out, the man started speaking, and the crowds were amazed. Wow. Someone who couldn't talk. Jesus is healing a man who was oppressed by a mute spirit. Immediately, like this, and then the man started to talk. Now, if we look at the science, and you will see this in the whole message today, how we are putting together science observation with faith. In science, you can find many reasons why someone cannot talk. So, apart from being too shy, which is not the reason that we're going to talk about today, people might have some psychological problems, neurological damage, stroke, physiological, psychological trauma that is keeping out the word of your mouth, and you're not able to talk. And we have seen many cases. Some people that stop talking because of a very, very bad experience, and then they start talking later. If we look at the reasons and the sources, there might be physical reasons. I mean, your vocal cords can be cut. In the morning service, Vince, our local pastor, he said, I was almost about not to be able to talk. Yeah, it was basically physical. I think it was nothing psychological, it was physical. I hope so. But some other people, like me, for instance. I have a pain in my knee. And then I had to go to the doctor. I said, is something psychosomatic or is something physical? And the doctor said, Felix, let's do an MRI because, yeah, it's better to do it. Then we did the MRI, and the conclusion was good. So basically, nothing is really bad in my knee. It's just that my knee is getting old. But yeah, so my eyes were getting old as well. That's why I'm wearing glasses now. Now she will prescribe a treatment, and I don't know if I probably will talk with Janine, and because Janine is a very good physiotherapist. I don't know if you know it. And then will help my knee to go and to be back on track. This is physical, nothing psychological. But in most of the cases, in a lot of cases, we have mental problems that are having a very bad impact in our health. Psychology has shown us that the trauma can manifest also physically. Stress are affecting our immune system. You know, when you have been under stress for a long time, what happens when the stress is gone? What happens on the first day of your summer holidays after a very, very hard year? You get sick. You said, oh no, come on. Now that I was going to enjoy, I get sick. Yeah, because the defenses will go down. And then your body starts to pay the price of the stress. So psychological traumas, etc., can impact and can affect your immune system. Also, neuroplasticity researchers are showing that the brain rewires when it's exposed to new experiences or disciplines. And that is also some therapeutic solutions where your brain is trained to recover some lost capacities as well. But you know what? That was not the case with this man. The Bible is crystal clear. The man was, oppressed by a mute spirit. And Jesus took over. And then he made the miracle. By the way, for the ones who were here last time that I preached, that I don't remember when it was talking about Jesus' miracles. And I was mentioning a number on how many miracles of Jesus were written in the New Testament. Do you recall? Wouter, you cannot answer. Do you know how many? No, but students. 40. 40 miracles were written in the Bible, in the New Testament, miracles performed by Jesus. And Jesus was providing the ultimate healing of not just the soul, but also the body of that person, that particular person. You know, I believe that medicine and therapy are really God's gifts. So God is gifting us with knowledge for us to develop, to learn, and to put that knowledge to the service of the others and help others to recover. Some cases, it's just the intervention, divine intervention of God that performs the miracle. And that was the case in here. But let me share with you something. When I was also sharing the message last month, or 2-3 months ago, I was saying that there was a special purpose for the miracles that Jesus was performing. Let's go into the book of John, chapter 20, verses 30 and 31st. What it says, Jesus worked many other miracles for his disciples, and not all of them are written in this book. But these are written so that you will put your faith in Jesus as the Messiah and the Son of God. If you have faith in him, you will have true life. That was the purpose of Jesus' miracles. First, that we put our faith in him. That we trust that he is God himself. And that we have true life in him. That was the purpose of Jesus' miracles. Now moving into the second point of what I wanted to share this morning, and going into the second point, that is division. Division is destructive. Yes, I'm not telling anything new, but I'm going to bring some additional evidence in the room. Obviously, Jesus was sharing a kingdom where people fight each other will end up in ruin. and a family that fights will break up. That says in verse 17. You know what? A kingdom that is divided against itself will fall. But it's not just from a spiritual point of view. Let's look at examples that we have in our life today. Let's think about biology as an example. In biology, when the body's immune system attacks itself, we call it autoimmune disease. And it's one of the worst things that can happen to your body. So your body is attacking itself. Well, and there's not worse enemy than yourself. So if you don't treat it correctly, your body may collapse. So in biology, one of the worst problems that a body can face is this, autoimmune illness or diseases. In psychology, also there is a term, it's called cognitive dissonance. You know what is cognitive dissonance? Let me bring you a definition about it, because it's quite complex. It's not as simple as we think. So basically, cognitive dissonance is the psychological distress or tension that occurs when a person holds two or more ideas, beliefs, values, or emotion that are contradictory, that they are opposed to each other, or when their actions are in conflict with their beliefs. Let me do something. Let me ask you something. How many of you believe in honesty? Can you raise your hand? Do you believe in honesty? It's a good thing to believe, right? No, keep your hands risen. It's okay. You believe in honesty? Okay, good. Thank you so much. While you're keeping your hands risen very high, you have the other hand. Tell me, how many of you lie? Now you are in a perfect position to be taken by the police. Yeah. So we all believe in honesty, right? At least the ones that we still have some level of faith in the humankind. But we believe in honesty, but we also lie. That is cognitive dissonance. One example of it. Division in the mind is really harming the whole person. When you have this fighting, some people, they say the good wolf and the bad wolf, right? Or the white wolf and the black wolf, whatever. Then you're damaging yourself. And in society, another example, you know what can be the weakest country in the world? The country that is fighting with each other. So you can be the weakest country in the world. You know why Spain didn't participate in the Second World War? It was siesta time. No, sorry. It was, again, my kids will say, Daddy. No. Spain didn't participate in the Second World War because Spain was going through the most painful time in their history. That was the Civil War. From 1936 to 1939, right before the Second World War started, the country went through a civil war. Neighbors fighting against neighbors. Brothers against brothers, family fighting against family. We had millions of casualties, millions of people that died. The country was destroyed to the ground. To the ground. Now it's more than 80 years after. And let me tell you something. The country has not recovered. So basically Spain was like something like 40 years delayed compared to the rest of the central of Europe. Probably now Spain is only 20 years behind, I don't know, or 10 or 5, it doesn't matter, but the pain is still there. And some people, they still manage to bring the pain back to make sure that you feel the pain. And to bring the division within the country. to bring the weakness into the country. The weakest countries are the ones that are fighting with each other. The weakest body is the body fighting with each other. The weakest person is, when fighting with each other. Division is breeding destruction. And we have to first know about it, be conscious about it. But then Jesus is giving us a spiritual application to that as well. And that is that you cannot sit on the fence with him. Sounds weird, right? Said, to avoid fighting with yourself, the first thing is that you cannot sit on the fence with Jesus. And then he's saying, either you're with me or you're without, or you're against me. But you cannot be like somewhere in the middle. No. Either with me or against me. It's not with or without me. No. It's with me or against me. And there's only one who can say that. Only one who can say. I heard that being said by people, politicians. If you're not with me, you're against me, blah, blah, blah. No. There's only one that can say that, and that is Jesus. You are with me or you are against me. You are with Jesus or you are against Jesus. You are with God, you are against God. Simple as that. Some today, they want to admire Jesus as a teacher, but don't want to follow him as the Lord of their lives. And that is really bringing the division into my personal kingdom, and that will destroy me. So as the verse 23 says, and I can ask probably if you can bring it back again on the screen. Let's read it together. If you're not on my side, you are against me. If you are not on the side of Jesus, you are against Jesus. If you don't gather in the crop with Jesus, you scatter it. Division is destructive, and the kingdom of God will not be divided. Now leads me into the third part. That is the decision. Your decision is required. The story tells, and if you remember, that there was the evil spirit that was in a house, then is expelled out of the house, and then the house is clean, fantastic, and then the evil spirit decides, let me go back again. And then he goes back and oh my goodness, or my badness. The door is open, so I can enter. Oh my, wow, this is so clean, fantastic. Let me get my other 7 pals to come with me because we're going to have a wild party here. And then the end situation was even worse for that house after the house was clean. And you know what was the only problem for the house? It was not that it was clean. Cleaning is good, yeah? And, if I ask Eloise, he said, cleaning is good. And having everything in order as well. So we need to keep everything in good condition, but with us inside. The house has to be filled in. It's like, if we look at science, it happens the same. So in human behavior, nature really abhors a vacuum. So if something is empty, will be filled with something. With something. There is no way to leave something empty. When ourselves we're empty and we're always in need of having our life filled with something, that something can be God, that something can be something different. But our life cannot be completely empty. We're always in need of filling up our lives. If you look at what happens, for instance, with addictions, and going now into science. You go to a clinic, then they help you to remove your addiction, and then you're healed, right? You're healed. Are you completely healed? Scholars and specialists, they say, no, you're not completely healed. You will always have a weak part in your life. And you know what? If you don't change your habits, the bad habits will take over again. And then you will be even worse. In a worse situation. And also, yeah, I was talking before that, the neuroplasticity, where it's telling us that basically neuroscience shows that habits literally rewire the brain. And if a destructive habit is stopped but not replaced with a new one, with a new positive pattern, the old ways will re-emerge again, will go back again into your life. Decision has to be made, and not just to clean the house, but to fill it with what it's really good for us. One thing, and step number one, will be forgiveness. We need forgiveness from God. But, of course, if we are not asking for His forgiveness, then we are not in a good situation. That's obvious. And He will always forgive us, because that's His promise when we come back to Him and ask for it. But we also have to learn to forgive ourselves. And we also have to learn to forgive others. Because you know what happens when you're holding the forgiveness? Let me show you or share with you a couple of clinical studies or clinical papers. Interesting for reading, not for now, but you can also take a shot on the screen. You will see a couple of QR codes. This is not for the offering. So if you click here, there's no offering. But a couple of interesting studies. One on the left side is done by the Stanford University in California. The other one on the right is made by the Mayo Clinic, where they are talking about forgiving. One is more about forgiving yourself and what are the benefits of forgiving yourself. The other one is much more what are the steps of forgiveness, what happens in you when you are forgiving. It's very interesting to see that the people that are practicing forgiveness, they experience lower blood pressure on average, reduced anxiety, improved immunity. And on the other hand, the ones that are attached into bitterness, they are trapped in circles of stress and more stress and more stress that at the end will make your body to pay for it. Forgiveness is something that is needed from a spiritual point of view, but also from a physical and human point of view. Jesus was saying the same. Deliverance without discipleship is dangerous. If you just consider that everything is done thanks to the forgiveness, that's only step one. Step two is to start the relationship with Him. And that is what we basically can read in verse 27, if you can put it also on the screen. Verse 27, it says, while Jesus was still talking, a woman in the crowd spoke up. The woman who gave birth to you and nursed you is blessed. That is Mary. And Jesus replied, yes, that's true. But the people who are really blessed are the ones who hear and obey God's message. And it's not just hearing, it's obeying His message. And to really make it happen, and not just to sweep and clean your house, but to fill it with what is good. The relationship with Jesus, with God, is what really matters. Walking with Him, and to my opinion and to my experience after many, many years, you can learn from Him when you go to His Word. That's what the Word is for, to tell us His whole plan, to teach us on how to have a good relationship with Him, to learn about Him, to grow our relationship with Him. And the second, the moment when we are looking for times to speak with Him in our prayer times, all together as a church, but also in your hidden place, in your quiet place. Some do in the morning, some do in the evening, but spending your time just to talk with God. You don't need to use bold words. Just sit down, close your eyes, and talk with Him. But there's another point, and that is also sharing. Sharing in His family, because you know God. You know what? God has a family. We are His family. We are His children. We're almost running out of time, but I still have... May I share with you illustration? Do you still have time? Good, thank you. Let me show you an illustration. I got this thingy. Can you tell me what is this? Huh? What is this? Oh, this is a mess. First thing is a mess. But okay. What is this? This is what? This is a wire, right? This is a wire. Well, let me ask a specialist. Janine, what is this? It's a guitar string. It's not a wire. It's a guitar string. Let me go a little bit deeper in this. Ralston, more specifically, what is this? A bass string. Yes, because you know why? Because Ralston has a very, very sharp visual acuity, above 20/20. I'm optometrist. And this is very thick, thicker than what a regular guitar can have. So, yes, both are right. It's a guitar string. Huh? It's, as an engineer, it's a coil. Absolutely. And you know what? What are guitar strings made for? To sound, right? And it sounds fantastic. Look at this. You hear it? Let me put the microphone near. Can you hear it now? Sound, eh? Wonderful. Wonderful. The sound is fantastic. Come on. Guitar string is not meant to be used like this. I could also ask and said, can you tell me more string instruments? Marjolein? Yeah. Piano. Oh, piano, I think it was a key instrument. No, it's not a key instrument. It's a string instrument. You're hitting the keys with... Okay. Anyway, you know, I love music. So this is a string. And the string is meant to be used the proper way. And it's not... The string will never make a sound like this. I mean, will not make a good sound in here. So for the string, and I ask Janine for permission to use this wonderful guitar. Now I feel better. Now I feel more comfortable. You know what the string is? Here we have 6 strings. And for them to make a good sound, they have to be connected to this part, right? They have to be attached to this. You know what this is called? The head. This is the head of the guitar. So this is the head, and then we go to the neck, and then we go to this big part. What is this name? The body. Oh, interesting. So we are a string that is connected to the head, Jesus, that we are also connected to the body, the church, and we make a good sound. How we can make a good sound? Because we are tuned. And we have to be tuned by His Word, by our life of prayer with Jesus, by our relationship with each other, and will help in tuning each other as well. And finally, we can make a good sound. And you know, making a good sound just with one string, it's okay, but it's meh. When you put all the strings together, that's wonderful. And this is only 6 strings. Imagine Marjolein can play 10 at a time. It's even better. We are, sorry, no more guitar sound. We are like the strings of a guitar, connected to the head, also connected to the body, and tuned to make a wonderful melody. This is our purpose. Without those three elements, my stream will not have a wonderful sound. And of course, that requires a lot of things. And for sure, if I'm asking Janine or Ralston, Marjolein, because I'm talking about just strings, but also when it comes to drums, you need a lot of practice. You may have a talent, and that is called God's gift. And we have been gifted with many, many gifts from God. Some may argue that I got the gift of music. Probably yes, when you hear me playing, probably now you discover why I'm working for the optical industry. But we have been given gifts by God. But those come with a practice. We have to practice. It doesn't come like out of the blue. Yes, we are called to live in unity and harmony with God and fellow believers. Talking about signs, and one of the major problems in this society today, we're always asking for signs. Can you give me a sign? Can you prove it? Can you prove it? Can you prove it? Well, look back 2,000 years. Jesus himself, he said, you keep on demanding for evidences. And he said, I am the evidence. I died, I came back to life. I forgave your sins. And there are in many places where you can read about the life of Jesus. People who believed in him, people who didn't believe in him, but that was an evidence. Jesus was there. But also, if you look at the impact, millions of people that have been going through a moral and psychological transformation, going back into the science, it's proven. Those things don't happen out of the blue. It's by divine intervention that we have been transformed. Those studies, they show that people of faith, especially those deeply committed, you know what? They live often, they live longer. They handle stress better and report greater life satisfaction because the faith is leaving fingerprints on both our soul and our body. And that is the evidence also in ourselves. Deliverance is real. Division is destructive. And our decision today is required. Will you respond like skeptic people demanding for more signs? Or should we respond like the people in Nineveh who heard the word of God and repented? You know, the people in Nineveh, Jonah was told, hey, Jonah, go to Nineveh and tell them that I'm going to destroy them because they are unfaithful. Jonah said, no, I'm not coming. He was running away. And God made him go through a very interesting experience that ended up in the belly of a big fish for 3 days. Finally, Jonah said, okay, I follow you. He came to Nineveh and told them the message. The people from Nineveh, they didn't need to see any sign. They just heard the word and obey. Wow. They simply heard the word of God and they obey. Let's be like the people of Nineveh. Will you live your life empty? Clean but empty? Or would you prefer to allow Christ to fill you with His Spirit? Today, science and faith agree on many aspects. First one, divided systems collapse. Empty spaces are refilled. And evidence demands a response. And Jesus is the response. And ends with this verse 28 that says, Jesus replied. And if we don't remember anything of the message today but just these simple words, then it's great. People who are really blessed are the ones who hear and obey God's message. I am not a slave to fear. I'm a son of God. And this is what we're going to sing now, all together. As the worship team is joining and leading us in this wonderful song to God, just sing it as a prayer, as a proclamation. I'm not a slave to fear. I'm a son of God. He will go before me, open the sea so I could walk in dry, and preparing the way before my feet. That's His promise. And you know what? What God promises, He delivers. He is faithful, and we are His children.